Hey kids, Jesus performed a lot of miracles, okay? He prayed for people to hear and see again, and he helped people walk, and he even raised people from the dead. Isn't that amazing? People were getting hungry, and the disciples suggested that Jesus would send them home because they don't have any food. But then Jesus was like, what? Send them home? I can't do that. And so, how are we going to feed all of these people? His disciples asked. But Jesus answered them with a boy's lunch. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread was all he needed to perform this miracle. Come to think of it, if you were the boy, a lot of people might be asking you to tell them the story once more, right? You have neighbors, you would have friends who would constantly ask you, tell us the story again. How did it happen? His mom and dad might have been kind of celebrities as well. And like neighbors, if they had someone over for dinner, they might be asking them, hey, remember that day when your boy fed the 5,000 people? Tell us that story one more time. Please let us know. Tell us once more how the story happened. And imagine this boy growing up to be a dad. And him having children, he must be telling them all about this miracle story that happened when he was a boy. And I would assume that this probably would be one of their favorite bedtime stories ever. And his children will have friends who would ask, was your dad really the boy who gave up his 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread? Or I imagine that these kids, his friends, right, would be asking, can we play at your house? That way we can hear the story one more time from your dad. Isn't that amazing? This miracle shows us that God can give us exactly what we need and that he can do it from places we don't even expect. This miracle story also tells us that God can use a boy's life to spread the story about who Jesus is. So, boys and girls, what is our takeaway from this story? Well, number 1, that Jesus can provide for us. Not just what we need, but more than what we need. Do you remember the part of the story where there were still 12 baskets full of food that was left over? He fed 5,000 and more, and yet there was still a lot of food that was left over. So God provides us with more than what we need. And number 2, that he uses people to provide what we need. So in this particular story, Jesus used the boy to show that he can provide for his people. So your challenge today is for you to pray and ask God to help you use your life in mighty ways, just like how he used that boy's life to show and point people towards Jesus.